Florence Janvier is a figure athlete in natural bodybuilding with a Ph.D. degree in public health. Florence inspires busy professional women to manifest their dream body by changing their mindset through her weekly videos on her YouTube channel entitled Ladyfloflo. After her 3-year fat loss transformation, Florence won the women's overall figure title after competing for her first time and prepping during the COVID pandemic. When she's not busy training, making or editing videos, and working full-time for a nonprofit in health and safety consulting services, she is a devoted mother to her son. Welcome, Florence.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Yolande.
Oh, it's so good to have you, and it's so good to see you. And I shouldn't just say welcome, I should say bonjour, comment ça va?
Oui, ça va très bien, merci.
Ça fait beaucoup de temps que je n'ai pas parlé français. See, I'm mixing up my words. I haven't spoken French in so long. It's good to see you. I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Shifting Perspectives. And the first thing I got to say is congratulations.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. You know, I've been watching your fitness journey online. And, you know, Florence and I have known each other for a while, but we haven't seen each other maybe in about 15 years.
Yes.
Or maybe even longer than that. And so watching this journey of yours has totally blown me away. So, you know, I'm ready to jump into it, but I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself to listeners. And tell us a little bit about you and what drives you.
Yes. So thank you for the nice intro, by the way.
You're very welcome.
Yes. So we know each other from the McGill times when we were undergrads.
Seems so long ago, eh? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, like I've always been a person who loved fitness. And, you know, I try to keep active, but I wouldn't say that I've always been fit or I always had the look. I would say that I'm your natural woman who, you know, I think they call us big bone or.
Yes, I know it well. Yes,
yeah.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's usually been like the type of fitness level I had, but I always try to be on the gym. Sometimes I was consistent, sometimes not consistent, just like, you know, your average person, nothing different. But just the last couple of years after I was done with my studies that took a lot of my time, I decided to, you know what, let me focus on myself. And it was more like I would say a pursuit of being the best version of myself that started with like the spiritual, mental journey, and it evolved into like my body as well, right? So it's all like linked together. It's not just one thing. Once you start taking care of yourself, working on your confidence, and then it just trickled down to you wanted to take care of yourself and having higher standards for yourself and your body.
You know, because I want to hear a little bit more about that whole picture, because I think sometimes when we look at fitness and bodybuilding, we don't realize how much it takes from the perspective of mindset and how much it takes in terms of you wanting an overall level of health.
Right.
But let's start with the passion for fitness and bodybuilding. Where did that come from?
That's a great question. I would say as an early age, my father was into, he was an amateur bodybuilder or fitness. Like there were not that many gyms. When you think about it, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, there was just a few gyms. And my dad used to train a lot. He used to take me, I have a sister. He used to take me and my sister to the gym while he trained. And we would wait for him in the lobby. And then at home, he used to like go jogging and do like a commando training outside as well. And he would drag us to come as well, follow him. So I always watched him. I used to see him do his shakes and I never really quite understood, but he definitely demonstrated that. So that was, I would say he was the person who introduced fitness to me. And then later in life, it's something that I adopted. You know, I always, like I said, I always like playing sports. I was naturally good, but one of my regrets, I would say in I would say university years, is that I focused more on the academia, and I didn't pursue, like I didn't go into athletics. And that was definitely one of my regrets.
Okay. Because you've always...
Yes, because before when I was younger, I always was in teams and sports. But however, as I got older, I just, I focused a little bit more on academia and let that little side of the fitness, athletic side of me gone a little bit.
Yeah, because you've always been an athletic person, and I know you referred to the big boned ones of us, right? And we might, especially in those years when we were getting used to what academia was and how much it took and how much time and adjusting to maybe being away from home and all of those extra things. And then you move into other phases of your life, right? Because you move into phases that not just school, but work. And you have a son, right? So having children. And so tell me, what was it like when you made that intentional decision to step into the fitness journey? Now that you've realized that, okay, I want to do things a little differently. Tell us what that journey was like.
Yes, I would say it's about just before my son was born. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was probably one of the highest weight I was. I was over 200 pounds, and I didn't recognize myself. And I had to be real with myself. I did a little introspective, a little inner work. I can share to you what methods I use. But
well, let's stick a pin right there, and we can go back to that other question. But tell us, what did that inner work look like for you?
Yes. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tony Robbins, but he has this page called, yes, you are, right?
Yeah.
I actually went to one of his shows. That has to do also with my evolvement process, but the Body You Deserve tapes. And I think this is a great start for anyone who wants to kickstart their fitness. And he asks really hard questions, and you have to journal and project yourself in the future. If you keep on perpetuating the same habits that you have, where you're going to be, are you going to be happy? And I did the program, the full program, not just listen to it. I actually did the activity, everything. And from that on, I would say, like, my mindset in terms of fitness has always, like, it started from there. And then on my own, I went on the journey. I started from a home gym, so it was not a gym, right? Home gym, and I was able, I think, to lose, on my own, the extra weight. I think probably lost 40 pounds on my own. So just before I got pregnant, I lost all the weight, and then
you got pregnant, right? And those joys bring a few pounds with them, right?
And I gained it right back. I gained everything back, but I had the confidence that I've done it before. So I knew that I could do it again. It took some time. I would say probably took me 3 years I was working on my own, right? It took me 3 years, but I was able to lose the weight. And when I look back, I was like, I was not really, something I was not happy, but it was not the look that I was looking for. I was wanting to feel strong, not skinny, not thin, strong.
Strong. Okay.
Like Serena Williams strong.
Yeah, that's a good strong to be. And, even just when you were just talking about the program that you followed with Tony Robbins, what I got there is that you made a personal commitment to do it. How important is that in terms of you and your mindset, making that commitment?
Yes. And I will go a step further, because people usually, wherever events they go and do the commitment, right? And then the most important step to do, what I've learned, whenever you learn something or you go to an event, is take action, put into practice right away. Even if something small, take the action. And I did not wait for me to know everything. I did a lot of mistakes, but I took action.
And that I appreciate that, because I do think there's so much content out there now. And that content really lends to us having great awareness.
Yes.
But we do have to move from awareness to action. And those little steps they get us there. Continuous little
Exactly.
steps. So, okay. So let's get back to, we were talking about when life gets in, not, I don't want to say in the way, but
No.
life evolves. And then you
Yeah.
decided to make this intentional decision
Mm-hmm.
to take that next level of your fitness journey. So you've done some of the inner work.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
continue from there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I got pregnant, and then I gained the weight, and then I started while I was, by the way, I was doing my PhD doctorate at the same
Just
time.
by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, while I got pregnant. So there was a transition time where I had to finish my thesis. And
Mm-hmm.
once that was complete, that's when, you mentioned about having phases in our life where we have to prioritize things.
Mm-hmm.
That's life, right?
Yes.
And then after, it was about 3 years ago, when I was done finally with my thesis defense, and I was telling myself, now I can really go full out it, going to fitness, and I hired a coach. And that was about
Okay.
3 years ago. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how did you end up? Did you search for this coach? How did you find the type of coach that you needed?
Okay, so that's a really great question, because there's a lot of coaching, there's a lot of information online. And you know what? I did all of them.
Okay. Okay.
IPPM, if it's your macros, online coach. I tried it all, but I did remember there was one point while I was losing the weight, my pregnancy weight, postpartum baby weight. Um, for a little brief moment, I had hired a coach,
Mm-hmm.
and it really helped me, and I was able to get greater result faster. But then I had
Okay.
to move, and it was complicated. I
Yeah.
moved back to my hometown in Ottawa, and so
Mm-hmm.
I remembered that I knew that I needed a coach, and
Okay.
so it just so happened that when I was in a quest to looking for a coach, I
Mm-hmm.
went to a supplement store, and I had a conversation with the sales rep there, and we had a great connection. And she showed me a picture of her. Sometimes you have pictures of athletes or bodybuilding athletes in the back. And
Yeah.
she showed me a picture of her, and I saw her little medal. I was like, "Oh wow, is that you?" And she was like,
Yeah.
"Yes." I was like, "You look great. What is this? Tell me more."
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
she told me that she does bodybuilding. I was like, "Really? But you don't look like a man."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Mom, you look great." And I was like, "Can you coach me?" And she was like, "No, no, I'm not a coach, but my trainer, like my coach, I can refer you to my coach." And then
Okay.
she gave me the contact of her coach. And at that time, my plan was not to do a bodybuilding competition. It was just to, what people say, tone,
Mm-hmm.
lose some weight, really just weight loss at that
Mm-hmm.
point. But she just happens to be what we call in the bodybuilding world a prep coach, people that
Okay.
prepare people for bodybuilding.
For about, okay, so that clearly that aligned for you, right?
Yes.
You may not have known that that's what you were looking for at that point.
Hmm.
But I must say, I recently on social media saw that you put up a memory that a friend had shared, that spoke about when you were a young girl confiding in her that you wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. So clearly that was something that was on your mind a long time ago. So now how does it feel now that you've done it? Well, you've not
Wow.
only done it, but you've absolutely smashed it, right? So how does that feel?
You know what? It feels I'm still processing the emotion, because it just happened like not even a week ago.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to say that you're going to do. It's one thing to prepare. It's one thing to participate. It's one thing to place. And it's one thing to win the overall. And I'm still amazed on how everything just line up, because a lot of variables. And
Mm-hmm.
even for me to compete in that competition was like a really last minute decision. This competition was supposed to happen in June, but because of the COVID, it got pushed back in September. And I
Okay.
only decided to compete with my coach, got the green light in May. So I've been playing catch up
So
ever since. Yeah.
if the competition had gone ahead on its regular date, then you wouldn't have been part of it.
Yes, and even like the pushback thing got pushed back, and
Okay.
that even worked in my favor as well because my body a week prior wasn't ready yet. So
Okay.
things just lined up.
Wow. Um, so you mentioned COVID here. So COVID
Yeah.
clearly affected this journey. Um, Tell me more about that impact in terms of what that was like for training.
You know, actually for me, COVID was a moment of where I got the most clarity. That's when I started to take even prior to deciding to compete, I still follow a diet. I still follow a training program. So the jump from training, from competition to just normal weight loss, it's still the same. It's more at another level. And
Okay.
so I had to get better at compliance and adhering to my meal plan. And during the COVID, it forced me to really look inside of myself and tell myself, Flo, um, what's going on? Like, do you want this? Do you want to lose weight? Like, you say you want to do stuff, but you don't follow through. You don't follow what you say you will do,
Talk about
right? You cheat.
accountability.
Yes, accountability. And so COVID removes distraction. And I think we saw that during this era, and people were able to you see things in your closet, demons, you have to face yourself. And I faced myself, I faced my excuses. And for me, the train of COVID, I was able to come up with some strategies, be creative. And I really pushed hard during the home training. So for me, it was just being creative, finding ways to get the work done no matter what. So I had this no excuse mentality. I just got to do it. I just do what you got to do.
But it must have been difficult to at first be willing to face these demons and to not have your your little cheat days or your lack of I guess I'm going back to the accountability stuff. Were there any strategies that you had to take on personally to be able to be more successful at staying the course?
Yeah, so even prior to that, I would say that as much as I train, maybe people are not aware of that, but as much as I train physically, I also train mentally and spiritually. And during the COVID times, I relied on that. So it's not just what I'm feeding myself in my body, but I also was really aware of what I'm feeding my mind, right? I was very aware of that. I was very cautious of what I listened to. I did more affirmations. I listened more to inspirational um, podcasts as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Some YouTube videos, scriptures. So I did a lot of tools. I have a lot of tools that I've learned from the trainings that I attend, seminars that do not focus on the physical body, but more on
The
the
training of the mind.
exactly the whole mind, the
Mm-hmm.
spiritual self. So that I would say it's probably the
The
piece
biggest
that
piece.
that helped me the most get through the COVID and my training. Without that piece, I don't think that I could have willed myself to do it on my own. If that makes
So
sense.
can you suggest to listeners, for anybody listening, whether wanting to go on a fitness journey, any journeys at all, um, where should they start if they want to start training their mind? Like if they want to start the way you say, taking care of your not just your mind, taking care of the spiritual side, taking care
Yeah.
of the mind side, where would you suggest people begin?
That's a great question. And you know what? There's not one like one way path. It's the same way like for losing
Okay.
weight. There's several avenues, but you have to start with yourself. I always tell people at the end of my YouTube videos, I have a channel,
Mm-hmm.
Ladyfloflo. At the end, I always end with learn to know yourself.
Okay.
So you have to be like activate that awareness inside of you and listen to what feels good to you, what brings you inspiration, and continue to do more of that. Sometimes it may be meditation. So I have a list of tools that I utilize, but I don't, it might not be every day, but sometimes it might be meditation. Sometimes it's just reading my scripture at night, or sometimes it might be my visualization. Sometimes it's calling a friend. Sometimes it's like dancing. Sometimes it's taking a walk. You have to start somewhere, start
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. And just start.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
whatever you
that,
go. Mm-hmm.
the way you say, learn to be yourself and
Mm-hmm.
activate yourself, because I think what you shared is you have a toolkit, you have a toolbox full of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what you need, it's important to know which tool you need. And you're only going to know that by spending the time and doing the inner work. And it's clear
Yes.
you did a lot of the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And this was not just
Nope.
um, an outer work gig, right?
No.
But tell me
Transformation.
about the,
I was gonna say
sorry?
that transformation, people
Yes,
see the
transformation.
outside, and this is why I am so appreciative of you having me to be on your podcast. Is
Mm-hmm,
transformation always true? Transformation that's last. You know, you don't want to be the
mm-hmm.
people that lose 30 pounds or 20 pounds and you getting back. The reason why,
Yes.
because you just do it the surface way.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you want to make it long lasting, start from the inside out.
Inside out. Yeah, certainly. Now, tell me about that physical transformation though. How was that on your body? Like, is this a lot of muscle rub? How sore is this? Because, when I see your pictures from the competition, I'm totally blown away. And that's
Me
a
too.
whole outer, you're blown away too, right? It's
Yes,
a
I
whole
am.
outer transformation. So how
Yeah.
did your body react to this?
You see, because this is my first competition, right? So what we are doing is just peeling off what I've had naturally over the years. So I was not new to training.
Okay.
So I've been training for some time. Maybe I was bulking because I was eating a little bit too much,
Yes. Okay.
but I was training.
Mm-hmm.
So this is over the years. And to see that transformation, I was like, I know I was strong. I was like, whoa.
You didn't
I
know how
even was
strong.
surprised
Yeah.
by myself. Yeah, so I was like, I didn't know that my back was like that. So now when we're going to go back to the drawing board, it's going to be building. That's really going to be the part of bodybuilding. Now I was just peeling, seeing what I have,
Mm-hmm.
and now
So
we do.
tell me more about that peeling process, because what types of things did you need to do to peel? I know it was diet, but what did your diet start to look like?
At first it was all sunshine. It was all perfect.
Oh,
So in
really?
the bodybuilding world, we call that the day, like when you prepare to the show, we call that prep. So that's the word
Okay.
prep.
Mm-hmm.
And so my prep was 18.5 weeks before the show. So typically you
Mm-hmm.
prep anywhere from 12 weeks to even 24 weeks, whatever your body needs. Why? It's because it takes time for fat
Mm-hmm.
loss. The more
Okay.
time you give your body, the better, like, not to say it's the better it's going to be, but in terms of the smoother, you won't have to do so much at the end.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a better
And at the
transition
end,
for you.
exactly. And at the end, I have to say, like, although we look strong and fit, at the end, it's not necessarily, I would say, healthy.
Okay.
Towards the end, I would say, like, probably like a week, the peak week. That's what they call it, the peak week,
Mm-hmm.
the week before the show. It's just a look that we have to get, which is drying out all the water between your tissue and your muscle so you can get, like, that shredded look.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. But before that, I would say before the first week, it wasn't so bad. It's just, I even have carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the training, it's pretty much, my training hasn't changed too much, but it's the cardio a little bit more intense. Yes.
Yeah.
But at the end, I was anywhere, I would say 3.5, 4 hours per day at the gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's true commitment. Okay. So now that you finished the competition, you're still training. What is the next thing? Do you have another competition in mind, or how many hours are you at the gym now? Are we still in this 3-4 hours? I'm
Uh,
amazed that that you managed to pack it all in.
so I had a little break, and it
Mhm.
was good to have a little break. So I've just been recently going back now. And I mean, it's it's not 4 hours anymore. It might just
Mhm.
be like, 2 hours.
Okay. Okay.
But I do enjoy it. And so
And that's the difference, I think, because you're enjoying it. That 2 hours probably just flies right by. The 4 hours probably flew by for you. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe not on some days, right?
exactly. But what's next? To be honest, like I, I was only focusing on getting myself ready for that my first competition, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was going to do so well. So I'm having a conversation with my coach like in the next few days, and
Okay.
we'll see the game plan. But I'm excited to hear what she has to propose to me, and of course I'll see what what is aligned with me and see. But I will say that I had a great experience, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I get to do it again on another level,
Cool.
wherever that may be.
Now, I know that I'm sure a lot of people were surprised with your success.
Yes,
And although I know that there's a certain amount of you that I'm sure was surprised, I also know that you believe strongly in your ability to manifest things, right? And, this is clearly something that you saw for yourself and became intentional about. You made an intentional decision to take action towards this goal. So
right.
tell me about this process of your intention.
Yeah, yes, and that's a great question. And it's probably even before I decided to compete, I would say that I used a practice in
Mm-hmm.
manifestation, which is like basically seeing the end result before it happened. So for me, it was seeing myself being on stage and receiving my medal, and not just seeing it, but feeling um, in the first person, like kind of like out of body and feeling that emotion. And then I was thinking
Emotions.
about my dad, and I actually even had tears, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was so moved by it. And yeah, so there's a series of ways that you can do that. But that was one of the process. That's just one thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
also there's also writing in your journal, and you writing as if you have received what
Mm-hmm.
you've asked, and also gratitude, saying thank you for what you have received. So I did all of
You did them, all of them. Yeah.
yes.
And
And even the day of the competition, when I found out that if you won the overall figure title, you would be a figure in the poster of the Canadian Physique Alliance, which is the Federation of Bodybuilding in Canada.
mm-hmm.
And on that day in the morning, I checked my journal entry and I said, I'm I'm going to place first. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
win the overall, and I'm going to be on the poster on the Canadian Physique Alliance website, and I'm going to be on the American one, NPC, the day of.
Wow.
I wrote that.
Awesome. And that's now the case.
Yep.
Talk
So,
about manifestation, eh? And I
yep.
think I'm so happy that you shared that, because so often, and it comes up with a number of guests, or it has come up with a number of guests, and it certainly comes up in my coaching practice, is that having that daily practice of meditation, of visualization, of gratitude, and being grateful even before things have gotten to where you want to be. It's a powerful energy that we put out there. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And for me, it changed my whole mindset because now, because I started from the end result, now my mindset was I'm an athlete. I'm a winner. So how
Yes.
do I act? What's my habit? What do I do every day? So that just became so much effortless, easy for me to
It
comply with
became
my
your
day.
blueprint. It became your
Exactly.
blueprint to travel through on. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even think we started with where you are right now, because now you've won we were talking about it being a Canadian competition. Tell us where you are and where you're from, and give us that rundown.
Oh yes. So I was born in Haiti actually, and my
Mm-hmm.
parents came to Canada when I before I was one,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in Ottawa, which is my hometown. But
Mm-hmm.
then post secondary, I spent most of my time in Montreal, where I met you, Alon.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to school for a long time. I did where I met your husband. He was studying
Yes.
chemistry. He was in a
Yeah, both in chemistry. Yeah.
yes, he was
Mm-hmm.
promotional older than me, and then I continued on with chemistry. I've continued to do my master's, and like what I was mentioning, I finished up my PhD degree in public health in about 3 years ago. And people, if they don't know, I'm actually like an expert in in respirators, but for organic vapors.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that clearly we've been talking a lot about respirators in the last few months, you know?
Yes.
And so that's really awesome. And I really congratulate you on all your journeys that you've been on. I know this must also be, what were your work colleagues like? What were the reactions to that? You know, Dr. Janvier is now a bodybuilder champion.
You know what? I'm like, even me sharing on social media, my journey, it's something I just decided to do like recently. So I'm very
Okay.
proud of it. So they don't know. Yeah,
They
maybe they'll
don't
know
know.
with your
Wow.
podcast.
Okay. Great. So they'll share it wild. Well, you know, I think we all do it in our own time, you know.
Mhm.
You mentioned that your parents immigrated to Canada from Haiti, and you
Yeah.
also mentioned your father a couple of times. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about him and his influence and how he became part of this visualization? Why was that so important?
Yes, my dad is the type of man who he was a great father. Like he loved his family, and he definitely had a vision for his life and fitness. He was very athletic himself. He kind of looked like Denzel Washington,
Okay.
to be
Yeah.
honest. But
Mm-hmm.
he did martial arts, and like I was saying, that he's my inspiration. And like when I do bodybuilding, I feel like connected to him, and it's a way for me to connect with my father, because that's his passion, and it's passion that he transferred to me, and I inherited that from him. So I'm very appreciative of him, and I hope that I know that
Mm-hmm.
he's watching, and that
Mm-hmm.
he's proud. And
He's
if he
watching
was
down
there,
on,
it
yeah.
would have been he would have been so happy.
I'm sure he was watching. I'm sure he was watching. So, you know, thank you so much for sharing about this process, because I think, you know, I even for myself, I know that often when I see bodybuilders, I don't automatically think of the fact that that's an inside out transition, and it's the
Mhm.
same way that we would approach goals and just about every avenue of our life, right? So I really appreciate the perspective that you have shared today. Now, before we close off, is there anything else that you would like to share with listeners?
Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
if you enjoyed or want to know more, what I've been doing is I'm sharing more of manifestation mindset stuff on my channel on YouTube. It's Lady Flow Flow, one word. So you can
Mm-hmm.
look it up, or you can always follow me on Instagram. It's lady_flow flow.
Awesome. So, listeners, if you'd like to connect with Florence or find out more about the Lady Flow Flow journey, you can also visit www.yolandrobinson.com/episode 24. And I'll make sure that all her social media links and everything is up there so that you can be sure to connect and find out what she's up to and hopefully get some inspiration yourselves. So thank you, Florence.
Thank you, Alana. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So thank you, listeners, for joining us for this week's episode of Shifting Perspectives. Hopefully you've gained something today that will shift your perspective or motivate you, or something that you can apply. And if you have enjoyed it, and especially if you can think of somebody that would benefit from it, please do share. And I definitely want to thank you all for sharing, because our listenership has been growing. It's going up. So thank you very much for being willing to do that and for sharing with people that would appreciate. So remember to subscribe, to listen, and to share. Have an awesome week.